Good start. Okay, so today's topic is basically about practicing without drum kit, right? So I have four questions for you with regards to this, and I'm just curious how this works. Okay, so let's start with the first one.
Okay.
Can we really practice without a drum kit?
Yes, of course. Because first 2 years of my drumming life, I did completely without the drum kit, and it was just a pillow setup and practice pad. That's what I worked on, and stole some utensils from the kitchen.
Okay,
Then I got kicked out of the house.
nice. Question number two. To what extent can you get better at drums without ever playing on a drum kit?
What? I was zoned out.
To what extent,
To what extent?
okay, can you get better at drums without ever playing on a drum,
A drum kit. You can get all the way up to advanced level, but it will be very technical. So everything that you will learn based on technique. For example, your rudiments will get better. Even when you're practicing the foot technique, you can get much better with the foot technique, just doing it without the drum kit. Because when you do it on the drum kit, you kind of zone out into soloing or doodling what you already know. And when you practice just specific focused things that happens on the pad or techniques, they happen outside of the drum kit.
I see. So it's basically you're getting better, but you can't show off.
Yes, you're getting better, but you can only show off on a practice pad or on a pillow set.
Okay, yeah, got it. Question number three. What do you use as a instrument to set up the kit?
So I use a pillow setup.
Okay.
So I have at least 4 pillows. One will be this way on the left, that will be my hi-hat. This one pillow will be over here, so there will be 2 toms, tom 1, tom 2. And on the right side, I will have one more pillow, which will be my floor tom. And then
Okay.
kick, I just tap on the floor, and
Okay.
hi-hat tap with the left foot.
Makes sense.
Yes. And snare is basically you can use the bed itself,
Okay.
where you're putting the pillow, or you can have a separate stool on which you can put a pillow.
Oh, great. Question number 4. How long can you keep practicing on just a pad and pillows?
So practicing on pads and pillows gets very, very boring at some point. But when you're doing something that is just focused on technique, because when you're practicing on pads and pillows, you're not doodling around and getting distracted like you would if you were on a drum kit, when you sit on a pad, you just have this one thing, and you know that you have to work on your rudiments. That's mainly what you can do on your practice pad. You can work on your rudiments, you can work on speed, endurance, strength, and you can time this. So how I would practice this is basically I would just take single strokes and put a timer, put a metronome, and every single day I have this practice method chart, which I will talk about later. And I mark down the goals that I have and how far did I go. Like today, yesterday, I have a record of it. So by the end of 30 days, I'm say 30 BPM faster if speed was my goal. And that's what I work on a practice pad. It gives you singular focus rather than getting distracted with like 100 things. On pillows, what happens is that you can build strength in your muscles, because you can't do techniques like finger techniques and all that on pillows. It requires a lot of wrist motions, so you end up building strength in your muscles and also the mobility in your wrists. So that kind of helps you go around the kit. You can also practice momentum when you're practicing on pillows. So there are chances of you getting distracted, but whatever you practice on the pillows actually replicates on a drum kit much better. It takes time, of course, but all of these things you can put it on the drum kit later on.
Okay.
So motivation wise, yes, it's a big problem initially, but if you are like, I want to learn the drums and I'm dedicated, and you have this passion and love for the instrument, you're going to always come back to it. No matter if you have days where you're like, no, this is it, I'm done. You're always going to come back to it, because you'll find yourself tapping along to music anytime.
Okay. What are the pros and cons for this method?
Pros are that you end up building a lot of technicality. You can focus on things better, your goals better. You can build speed, dexterity, endurance, all of these things. And also kind of test yourself about how dedicated you are, in a way. Because when you go to a drum kit, you first of all you have something to look forward to, like, yes, I'm going to build myself and then replicate this on a drum kit. So you look forward to something on your first drum kit and whatever. These are the pros. Cons are that your musicality might suffer a little bit initially, because when you sit on a drum kit, everything matters, the smallest of touch on the snare. So it's harder to play softer on a drum kit. That's why every drummer that you see will always have like very loud tones or something, because they end up practicing a lot on practice pads, or they're always very loud. So musicality kind of suffers initially, but then the more you record yourself play, you will see how you are responding through the video. Like, you will see yourself small things that you do not notice when you play, you will see it from the video. So musicality is something that you suffer with. Sometimes foot techniques, like slide techniques, you can't really practice on a floor. You can to some extent, but you need to understand speed tensions, because the pedals have springs on them. So understanding of these things, and then dynamics. Of course, I talked about how loud drummers usually play. So dynamics is something that suffers a lot, and the bounce on the drum kit is not the same as on a pad. So pad is rubber, so you will see a lot of bounce happening. But on a drum kit, when you move to the floor tom, it's not as tight, the skin of the floor tom, so it kind of cannot rebound. But that's where the pillow practice comes in. So whatever you practice on the pillow will replicate on the floor tom, because you have already built the wrist strength. So it's kind of a pro and con both. Apart from that, the other con, you will not be able to play to a lot of music kinds like metal and all of that. For that, you will need drum kit.
Okay.
But yeah, every con has a way to get better, and just because you don't have a kit now does not mean that whatever you learn now is a waste. This is actually going to make you so much better than if you had a drum kit initially, because you would not kind of focus so much on these things if you had a drum kit initially, or have something to look forward to, in my opinion.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Okay, that's a wrap.